So I saw a commercial the other day for Be Your Own Bank. Now this one, I'm assuming, was talking about some form of cryptocurrency, quantum banking. And I've heard these concepts time and time again, as I'm sure you have. But I've also heard the same things from the stacking community, that basically your stack at some point or another becomes basically you being your own bank. Now I think there are merits there, right? Because at the end of the day, you've stored value in a medium that is pretty transcendent. I mean, it's a physical commodity, so you do have stored value. But does that really, at the end of the day, make you your own bank? So first, let's think about this. What really makes something a bank? What is a bank? A bank is basically pooled wealth of some kind, whether someone funded the bank or whether it's, a publicly traded company. Funds that go to ideally be lent out to others to in turn generate some type of return. So does that really translate to quote unquote banking? Does your stack translate to you being some sort of a bank? Not really, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, realistically, you're not going to lend your stack out. One of the interesting things, about, let's say, for example, like cryptocurrency, is you can stake your cryptocurrency and earn yield on it of some kind. But even that, I mean, realistically, like anytime you're lending assets of any sort, right, there's risk. And the whole point of stacking is to mitigate risk of some sort, whether that's SHTF risk or, personal finance risks, things like that. So really, having a stack, does that by default make you any type of your own bank? No. Secondly, another interesting aspect to be your own bank, if you could with metals, would be if you were to be your own bank of any kind. Let's say, you did lend out metals for some type of return, whether it was, more ounces in return or whatever. Would you even need silver in that aspect? Would you need silver, or could you just do it using gold? Would you want to do it using just gold versus gold and silver? I think it's interesting because when you think about gold, particularly, over a period of time, gold's definitely going to have much more recognizability than silver would. It's also somewhat less volatile price-wise than silver. So it's much more dependable as far as price action. So would you need, silver, any representation of silver to have, your own bank, to be your own bank? I don't know. It's pretty interesting to think about because, I mean, just from the gold aspect, you think back to, let's say, recent times. Let's say the gold rush. Things were paid for in gold, in physical gold. It would just be traded as, a gram here or whatever, for whatever value you were trying to get, which is interesting, actual physical trading of the precious metal. But looking at it like from, again, be your own bank aspect, none of that stuff really holds up, right? Because at the end of the day, you can save, which I guess that's part of be your own bank. You can save and basically borrow some of your own assets to do other things. But is that really the same thing as being a bank? If you're just using your stored value to do other things? Not really. Again, the mechanism of a bank is to, at some point, expand that monetary value. So for example, let's say you funded a bank with $1 million. The idea with the bank would be to, use our fractional reserve banking system to go ahead and multiply the value of that $1 million into many millions of dollars through lending and different things like that. Whereas if you had a physical asset such as gold or even silver and you were trying to extrapolate that value, it'd be very difficult because at the end of the day you're looking for a physical, you're using a physical asset to generate a non-physical return. I just don't see how the concept really holds water of be your own bank with anything regarding metals, because at the end of the day, it's not really being a bank. It's just simply using your own money to fund your endeavors, whether that be retirement, whether that be saving for a particular goal. It's interesting, though, that this concept never seems to die. No one ever kind of puts the nail in the coffin. But I mean, with regard to financial instruments or financial companies, I would say stacking is more along the lines of be your own insurance company than be your own bank, because there's really no, extrapolation of the value of the gold or silver that you're holding. More so, it's an insurance policy against a variety of different, potential threats. devaluation of the currency, SHTF, economic crisis. Does, one metal provide more value than another? Of course. I would say, gold definitely has that recognizability that silver doesn't, try as it might. Again, the other part of it with silver's price action moving around so, in such a wide range, it's nice to see it up. But again, everyone's kind of on the edge of their seat because, particularly with silver, what goes up ends up coming back down pretty quickly. So it's interesting to see these rises and falls, and every time it happens, the cheerleaders come out talking about how it's going to 50 or it's going to 100 or whatever, and it just never seems to pan out. But even so, the harder part is, again, no real correlation to anything in particular as to why silver and gold have, had the run that they've had. You can find things and you can try and point them out. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. But again, historically, it doesn't hold water. Again, it's just, you're grasping at straws trying to find, well, it's because of this, it's because of that. No, it's not. It's not, and it's not consistent. That's the reason that it's clear that that's not the case. But these kind of things with quantum banking, even cryptocurrency, for better or for worse, it's probably not going anywhere, right? So the question there is moving forward, is there value in that kind of thing for, the banking sphere? What happened to FedCoin? What happened to, all these other things? It's really interesting. But at the end of the day, coming back to, gold and silver, quote unquote, being your own bank, I personally just don't see it.